Hi, second graders. Welcome back to your TV classroom. Today is Monday, March 8th. And we're gonna check in with our zones right off the bat. I hope you had a great weekend. Let's check in with ourselves and see how we're doing. Mr. Kevin, what's your zone today?
You know what? I started out in the blue zone, but I'm in the green now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What made it so that you could go into the green zone from the blue zone?
My friends, the people I work with.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
the people around us really help, don't they?
they do.
They really
and
do.
How about you, Mrs. Wally?
You know, I was also in the blue zone this morning, having a really rough morning. My brain was having a really hard time focusing. And, but now I'm in the green zone. I got to start teaching, and you know, whenever I start teaching, I end up back in the green zone because it's something I really love. And so I got to do something I love, which is great and puts me in the green zone. And I get to work with amazing people, and they also help me be in the green zone. So I'm feeling a lot better now.
Good.
All right, friends, let's do a Make It Monday. Let's take a look at our first number.
Monday.
What are some ways we could make this number? Well, we can always do expanded form, which is 80 plus 2 makes 82. Mr. Kevin, can you think of another way we might be able to make the number 82?
How about 41 times 2?
Ooh, 41 times 2. And some second graders know about multiplication. This means 41 plus 41. Means 2 groups, or 41 groups of 2, or 2 groups of 41. How else? What if we had 100? How would we make 82, friends? Well, we'd subtract 10 to get to 90, and then 8 more. So we'd have to subtract 18. Let's look at our next number. Oh, there's only one number. Let's do one more. What's another way, Mr. Kevin, we could make 82?
So we could do, instead of 41, we could do 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20.
How about plus 22?
Or plus 22, yeah.
We could do that. I just ran out of space.
I know.
What if we did 31 plus 51? That would make 82.
That's a good one.
Okay, friends, today we are learning to subtract 3-digit numbers using multiple strategies, which means we're going to talk about the different ways you can do it. We're going to talk about the number line. We're going to talk about using place value, and you get to use the one that makes most sense to you. Write each number as the sum of hundreds, tens, and ones, which also means expanded form. Go ahead, on your whiteboard, you have 30 seconds. Write both of these numbers using hundreds plus tens plus ones. Mr. Kevin, how long have we been recording?
4 minutes.
Thank you. Okay. It should be 500 plus 10 plus 4, and then 900 plus 70 plus 2. Now, they had you do this because you may use pulling apart numbers into the hundreds plus the tens and the ones to help you solve these subtraction problems. Here's an example. Carla has 725 roses. She uses some to make a float for a parade. Now she has 142 roses. How many roses does Carla use for the float? So they have told us the subtraction equation is going to be 725 minus 142. Or 142 plus blank, which is the part we don't know, equals the total or whole of 725. So now we have to do the math, and it looks like they're going forward on the number line. So if you're going forward on the number line, did they choose to subtract or use the missing addend? Yeah, they're using this missing addend. They're starting at 142. And then they're hopping all the way to 725 and figuring out how many hops. So they went from 142 to the next 10, which is 150, which is 8. And then they went 150 to 200, which they know is 50. And then 200 all the way to 700 is 500. And then 25 more. They added all the numbers up, and they got a total of 583. So how many roses does Carla use for the float? 583 roses. We know that because she had 142 at the very end. She started with 725. So the whole was 725. The part she was left with was 142. We have to figure out how many she used. And we did that. We figured out the amount between 725 and 142. Great job. Let's take a look at this problem. Gus has 872 pennies. He gives 725 pennies to the pet shelter. How many pennies does Gus have left? Show your work. Well, what's happening here? I'm going to put a bar model so we can figure out the math we're doing. Right, Gus has some pennies. Gus gives pennies, and Gus has pennies left. Okay, what's the question? What are we trying to figure out? Gus has 872 pennies. He gives 725 pennies to the pet shelter. How many pennies does Gus have left? Where are we going to put that question? Well, the question is what? Yeah, how many pennies does Gus have left? So where do we put that question mark in our bar model? Yeah, the part that's left. This bar model doesn't solve the problem for us. It just helps us understand the math we're doing. Now let's find the information we know and let's put it in that model. We know that Gus had 872 pennies, and we know that Gus gives 725 pennies to the pet shelter. Okay, so where do we put the 872 pennies? Yeah, that was the total that Gus had. Ooh, right up here, that's the whole thing, stands for 872 pennies. My pen is not wanting to work. There we go. Okay. What else do we know? Yeah, this is the part that Gus gives, which is 725. So what are we going to do? Go ahead, solve this problem. You have 2 minutes. Okay, friends. Take a look at my board. My pen is running out. So you can't see really my answer down here, but I'll explain it. I did it both ways, so you could check your work. I did 872 minus 725, and I started at 872. I subtracted 700 and got to 172. And then I subtracted the 20 and I got to 152. And then I subtracted 2 to get to 150 and 3 to get to 147. And 3 and 2 is that 5. So I landed on 147. So I know that Gus has 147 pennies left. Then I used my expanded form, or the hundreds plus tens plus ones, and I did 800 plus 70 plus 2, 700 plus 20 plus 5. And 2, I can't take 5 away and get a positive number. So I borrowed a 10. This is now 60, and this is now 12, and I got 7 ones, 40, and 100. And that together makes 147. My answers matched. It was correct. Yes, Mr. Kevin?
And I don't know if our second graders realize, but 872 pennies, what does that mean? $8.72.
They're going to get into that shortly in math. They're going to be doing that soon.
Fun.
Yeah. Okay, friends, let's look at the next problem. Students need to paint. We can do the whole screen right now, Mr. Kevin, for the PowerPoint. Students need to paint 525 pumpkins for the fair. They have painted 193 so far. How many pumpkins are left to paint? Show your work. Okay, well, what's happening? Well, we know that there's some pumpkins students need to paint. They've painted some, and they have some left to paint. That's what's happening, right? So this bar model works, right? This is all about pumpkins. This whole thing is all about pumpkins to paint. Okay, let's find the question. Where is the question mark going to go? Students need to paint 525 pumpkins for the fair. They have painted 193 so far. How many pumpkins are left to paint? Show your work. What's our question? Oop, wrong color. How many pumpkins are left to paint? So where do we put that question mark in our model? Do we put that in the total amount of pumpkins to paint? The ones we've already painted or the ones we haven't painted? Yeah, well, which bar is the ones we haven't painted? Look at the total, 525. And the part they've painted is 193. So the part they haven't painted, is that going to be the greater part or the lesser part? This will be the greater part. They have more pumpkins to paint than what they've already painted. Well, let's take a look at the information we know. We know what? Yeah, they need to paint 525 pumpkins, and they've already painted 193 so far. So let's put that information in. Where does the 525 go? Yeah, it's the total pumpkins. It's the whole thing, 525 pumpkins. Where does 193 go? Yeah, it's the part that we've already painted, or the part that we know. Look at that. I have a whole up here, the total amount, and a part that I've already painted, and I need to find the part that I haven't painted. What should I do? Yeah, subtract 525. When we have a whole and a part we know, we subtract to find the other part. Okay, you have 2 minutes. Go ahead and solve. Okay. Take a look. So I did this 2 ways. The first way, I'm going to separate them so it's easy for you to see. The first way I did it was I looked at it, I said, well, I know 2 parts and I have a whole. I know that I've already done 193 plus the ones I still need to do equals 525. Because you can do that with subtraction if it makes sense for the problem. So I did it the other way on my number line this time. I started at the part I knew, which was 193, and I hopped until I get to the whole and I counted how many hops I made. So I was at 193 and I hopped 7 to 200, and then I hopped 300 to 500, and then 25 more to 525. And I added the hops I did, which was 300 plus 25 plus 7, and I got 332. The other way you could have done this is you could have done the standard algorithm if you know it, which I did to check my work over here. So I did the hundreds, the tens, and the ones, and I did 500 plus 20 plus 5, and 100 plus 90 plus 3, and then I subtracted. 5 minus 3 is 2. 20 minus 90, I needed more. So I took 100 from the 500 and put it into my tens place and had 12 tens, or 120. I subtracted 90 and I got 30. And then I did 400 minus 100, which is 300. And look at that, 4 and 12. The same thing over here, and I got 332. Looks like our answer is they still need to paint 332 pumpkins.
That's a lot of pumpkins.
It's going to take them a long time. I hope they have a lot of students to help them. If they have 332 students, they all just need to paint 1. So hopefully there's a lot of students, Mr. Kevin. Mm-hmm. Okay. This isn't my favorite pen to use, friends, because it leaves my board a little bit blue, but you can see it really well. So that's what matters.
Your board's in the blue zone.
At, what was that, Mr. Kevin?
Your board's in the blue zone.
My board's in the blue zone. Last question. Miss Diaz had 185 stickers. She gives some away. Now she has 139 stickers. How many stickers did Miss Diaz give away? Well, let's start by talking about what's happening. Miss Diaz had stickers. She gives some away, and she has some left. Can you show my whiteboard, Mr. Kevin? Okay, so here's our model. Miss Diaz has stickers. She gives some away, and she has some left. Let's look for our question, and let's figure out where we're going to put it here on our model. Is it going to be in the whole or one of the parts? Miss Diaz has 185 stickers. She gives some away. Now she has 139 stickers. How many stickers does Miss Diaz give away? Well, what's our question? Yeah, how many does she give away? So, how many stickers does Miss Diaz give away? So let's go over that again. She has stickers. She gives some away. She has some left. Where's the question going to go? Yeah, here, the part she gives away. We don't know that. Now let's fill in the information we do know. Miss Diaz has 185 stickers. We know that. She gives away some. We don't know that part. But we do know that now she has 139 stickers. So the amount she has left is 139. How many did she start with? 185. So she has 185 stickers. She gives some away, and now she has 139 left. Go ahead and solve with me. Well, I'm looking at this, and I know that in subtraction, if I have a whole and I have a part, I can find the other part by taking away the part I know. So I'm going to, well, do we want to subtract 139, or do we want to count the difference between 139 and 185? Could be this. Miss Diaz gives some away. She has 139 left. She started with 185. We'll do this, 185. She has 185. She gives some away. She has 139 left. That would work. So let's do a number line together. We know the total is 185. We know the amount she has left is 139. Okay, 139 to the next 10 is 140, which is just 1. And then what's 140 to 180? That's 40, right? So now we're at 180. And then we just have to go to 185, which is 5. What's 40 plus 5 plus 1? 46. So Ms. Diaz gave away 46 stickers. Is that one of our answers? It is. Notice that we did not just guess. Notice we did the problem, found the answer. It says Rhea chose D as the answer. How did Rhea get her answer? Rhea forgot to regroup over that 100, didn't she? She did 139 to 100. She didn't get to that 100. She added the 40. I'm not sure what she did. She must have left the 100 in there when she subtracted. Maybe she did this, 185 minus 139. She did this, and then she got 6, and 7 minus 3 is 4, and she did 100 minus 100 equals 100. I've seen students do that before. That happens. They're going too fast. But if Rhea did it, if Rhea had checked her work, would Rhea have made the mistake? All right, friends, here's your assignment today. You're gonna do page 433 and 434 in your math workbook, practicing more of this. Today we learned to subtract 3-digit numbers using multiple strategies. We used open number line, we counted forward, we counted back, we used pulling it apart into place value and then subtracting and regrouping. Excellent job. And we checked our work. Mr. Kevin, if they want to contact us here at the TV Classroom, what can they do?
Yes, second graders, fire up the email machine and send your questions, comments, drawings, whatever you want to TV Classroom, Tacoma.k12.wa.us. Or, of course, you can always use the regular mail, TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.
I have a challenge. If you know what email machine is, go ahead and use that email machine and email us and tell us what the email machine is. What is another name for an email machine? Okay, all right. Friends, thank you so much for doing math with me today. Up next will be Miss Oslin with ELA. Please make sure you have your materials ready, your learning packet, your learning notebook, your pencil, your learning buddy, all the things you use for ELA with Miss Oslin. Take a break, take care of your needs, and be ready to learn when she comes back on the screen. I hope that you have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye, friends.
Rules. 1. You have 10 seconds to pick your crewmate. 2. A new timer will appear with an exercise for the crewmate you picked. 3. You will get points for each correct crewmate and exercise you choose. 4. If you pick the imposter, you will lose all your points. 5. Use your math skills to see how many points you can get. Good luck.
Hi, second graders. Welcome back from your break. Excellent job gathering your materials and being ready to go. You can take your ELA packet, your pencil, your reading notebook, and put them off to the side. You won't need those quite yet, but feel free to hold on to your learning buddy if they are going to help you focus. Today, we are learning that characters in traditional literature face challenges and often learn important lesson or universal message. Now, we've been talking about traditional literature, and these are stories that have been around for a really long time. And in the past, they have been told orally, which means out loud. Now, luckily today, a lot of them are written down, which means a lot of us have more access to them. And it helps us, when they're written down, to think about different versions of the same story, and then we can compare and contrast how they're similar or how they're different. And we've done that with, was it Little Red Riding Hood? Yeah, we read a couple different versions of Little Red Riding Hood, and we thought about the story structure, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Now, at the beginning of the story, we're thinking about the introduction to the characters, which is the who. It's the description of the setting, which is the where and the when does the story take place. And we think about this is where the problem is introduced. In the middle, this is where all of the action is. This is where our characters are trying to solve the problem. And in the end, the character finally solves the problem and think about how is the problem worked out. And this is also where we're going to often learn what is the theme or message. What lesson did our author want us to learn by reading this story? And today we're going to read a Norwegian folktale called The Most Valuable Treasure. And we're going to use our graphic organizers to help us. So you're going to need your story structure graphic organizer. We've already completed one, thinking about Little Red Riding Hood last month. And then you're also going to need the graphic organizer, A Hero's Journey. And this is going to help us think about our character and what the adventure is that our character goes on. So gather these materials from your ELA packet. I'll give you about 15 seconds to find them. Okay, let's start reading. Long ago in Norway, there was once a boy called Halvor. He lived with his mother in a cottage near the great Bjornstad forest. Halvor's mother had smooth, fair hair, but her hands were calloused and red, for she sewed all day to earn enough to keep them alive. Every night, the tips of her fingers tingled with pain, and her sky-blue eyes ached from the strain. She had only a worn woolen shawl to wrap around her shoulders. She often shivered and coughed. Halvor hated being too young to help his mother. One winter night, when the cold crept through the rafters, making her teeth chatter, he said, "When I grow up, I will find a way to become rich. You will be served thick soup for supper every night. A fire will crackle and roar in the fireplace. You will never shiver or cough again." "I don't need thick soup or a roaring fire, my treasure, my scat," his mother said. "You are all I need." Okay, so we have the beginning of our story. We've been introduced to our character. Who is the story about? A boy named Halvor and his mother, yes. And think about, where does the story take place? When does the story take place? This is a folk tale, so we know that it will often have that literary language that helps us track time. The very first sentence, not even the first sentence, the first 4 words, long ago in Norway. That gives us our setting right there. What is the problem? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what the problem is. Gus, the problem is Halvor's mom is poor and she's sick. And so he wants to solve that problem for her. But she says that Halvor is her treasure, something that she finds very precious. Here's my question to you, second graders. Do you think our hero, Halvor, is gonna stay, or do you think he's gonna figure out how he can help his mom? Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's satisfied with her answer. So we're gonna document our thinking on our graphic organizer. The first question is, who is the hero or main character? And we know that it is Halvor. And what is his or her or their challenge? Well, that his mother suffers, she gets sick, and she's very poor. So we're gonna write that. Where does his journey take him? We don't know yet. Let's keep reading. That night, Halvor lay awake thinking. There was nothing he could do to grow up faster, but was there some way to find wealth without waiting all that while? There must be something even a young boy could do to become rich. He heard the distant roar of a hungry troll from deep inside the Bjorstad forest. That terrifying sound gave him an idea. Trolls taller than fir trees roamed the forest, but tiny pixies scurried in it too. Halvor had heard that if you trapped a pixie, it would give you one wish in exchange for its freedom. He could ask the pixie for a valuable treasure. He would just have to find a pixie before a troll found him. Okay, a hero's journey or quest to solve the problem usually involves challenges and adventures. What challenges or adventures do you think our hero Halvor is going to face? Take some think time. To tell your learning buddy what you're thinking. Gus, I think he's gonna go into the forest. I think he's gonna encounter some trolls and some pixies. Okay, let's keep reading to see if we are right about our hero's journey or quest. Early the next morning, Halvor sprang out of bed, stole out of the house, and set off in the direction of the forest. He entered it fearlessly. The scant daylight dwindled quickly into darkness. Halvor tramped on. Pixies, he knew, were to be found in the very center of the forest. Twice he thought he heard the dull thud of a lumbering troll, but he kept walking. At last, Halvor could walk no farther. The trees ahead grew so tightly together that they would not let him through. He sat silent and still, his back against a mossy trunk, peering into the blackness, waiting for a pixie. Okay. Now we know where his adventure is going to take him. Take some think time. Did he do it? Yeah, he went into the forest. And what adventure awaits? I think he's about to meet a troll or a pixie. Now, you complete this part of your graphic organizer. Where does his journey take him? What adventure awaits? Go ahead. Okay, so today we learned about traditional tales and how they have common story elements that help you and I as readers better remember and understand what we're reading about. We thought about who the characters are. We thought about where and when the story takes place. We thought about what is the plot, what is the problem, what happens in the middle when the character is trying to solve the problem, and how does the story end? You're going to use your story structure graphic organizer and your hero's journey graphic organizer to help document your thinking when you're doing your independent reading today. Now, if you don't have folk tales at home that you can read, you can reach out to your local librarian, you can ask your teacher, or we have our special guest Wednesdays where several of our special guests have shared folk tales that you can go back and watch and listen to and complete these graphic organizers using those folk tales. Then you can send it to us here at TV Classroom. We would love to know all about your thinking about your heroes' journeys. Mr. Kevin, where can our second graders send us their work?
They can send them to TV Classroom at tacoma.k12.wa.us. If you need a little help writing an email, just ask your adult. You can also, of course, send it in the mail. TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405. We're in the forest right next to the trolls.
And the pixies.
And the pixies.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Now, second graders, it is time for our affirmation. This is the time of day when we get to say positive things about ourselves before we go off to do our independent work. And today, I want you to remind yourself that your thinking is important. Practice saying that out loud. My thinking is important. Excellent job today, second graders. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you back here next time in our TV classroom. Bye.
Hey kids, we want to see your work. Just send your pictures and your stories to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.